Hi guys, and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron. It is the instant match reaction. Manchester City 3, Everton 0, or Everton 0, Manchester City 3, should I say. Apologies that this video was not out yesterday, as I'm sure you may be able to tell. I've been suffering with some form of flu virus. I think it may be COVID, I'm not 100% sure, but it absolutely wiped me out yesterday. I watched the game on my phone in between sleep, and yeah, after it I pretty much spent the rest of the night in bed, and I've only just today started to get up and get myself about a little bit. So I was definitely not in the right state to do a video yesterday, but I didn't want to wait until Wednesday, Thursday to do one. So I thought, you know what, while I'm out and about and I've got a bit of time, I'll try and get at least a reaction, a couple of minute reaction out there, of my thoughts on the game. And as I said, despite watching it on my phone in between sort of being sick and coughing and sneezing and all of the rest of it, it was for me an expected result, really. I know sort of, we sat here when we done the preview and spoke about how that, Everton could come away from this game with a positive result. Everton could come away from this game with, certainly a draw and maybe even a win, depending on how, well we perform. But in reality, we all knew deep down it was always going to be a thankless task to play Manchester City. I've said it before and I'll say it again. They're probably the worst team to play at this point in the year. They're absolutely formidable at this time of year. I think that was their 11th straight Premier League win, something like 22, 25 games or something like that, unbeaten in all competitions. They're just stupid at this time of year, and they always do this at the start of the season. They have a little bit of a bump and there's always question marks of, are they gonna, is somebody else gonna win the league? This season it was Arsenal. Arsenal are 12 points clear at Christmas or whatever they were, and we always knew, everybody deep down, that Manchester City have got a run in them where they can go 11, 12, 13 games, not even unbeaten, winning 11, 12, 13 games on the bounce. And, there's no other team in the world that can compete with that for me. So it was always going to be difficult for Everton to get a result yesterday, and it was always going to be difficult for Everton to, come out of the game with a positive outcome. But, I think for 35 minutes, we looked good. I think we defended well. I think we battled with them. I think going forward, we looked okay. I wouldn't say we looked a particular threat. We weren't as good as we were against Brighton, but, it has to be said, for as good as Brighton are, they're not on the same level as Manchester City. So, it was never going to be a game where we were 3-0 up in half an hour, because Manchester City are simply, much better than that. You don't go 11 games, winning on an 11-game winning run in the Premier League by defending in a way that would see you 3-0 down at half time. So I thought we looked positive. As I said, in the transition, we looked good. I think Pep Guardiola complimented us in the transition yesterday as well. And we were relatively, strong defensively. I think we nullified Erling Haaland to something like only 2 touches in the opening half an hour of the game. He wasn't really in the game, but with Manchester City, you always know that they can, that can happen for 30, 40 minutes. It can happen for 70, 80 minutes where you've managed to nullify them, and they still have got that ruthless mentality and that ruthless, motivation to, even in those moments and even in those games, to go on and find a way. And that's ultimately what champions do. And Manchester City are about to win their 3rd title on the bounce, which is something that only a couple of teams have done before in history. And they've done that because when it gets to this point in the season and teams are trying to sit back and block them out and, defend for their lives, they simply find a way. And that's, that's how they've become to be, the soon to be 3-time champions on the bounce. And I think they'll have won 9 league titles overall when at the end of this season. So, we always knew that it's a pretty thankless task to try and do that for 90 minutes, and it's a pretty difficult task to try and do it for 90 minutes. Everton, I believe, are one of only 2 teams to have gotten a result at the Etihad this season. We took a point off of them, and Brentford beat them there. And for as well as we played in that opening 35 minutes, for as well as we worked, for as positive as we looked in the transition, I thought Dominic Calvert-Lewin looked brilliant. I thought Dwight McNeil looked brilliant, helping out defensively as well. We all knew when City got their first, which was just a ridiculous bit of skill. Name me another midfielder in another Premier League team that this season. Maybe Martin Ødegaard, of course, but you know, there's not many others that are capable of taking that down the way he did and flicking it behind him. It's truly a wonderful, wonderful goal. And when it went 1-0, that's when you sort of feared, okay, now Everton have got to come out, and now Everton have got to push, and the floodgates going to open. And you know, it instantly went 2-0, and that was probably because of a bit of a gain in confidence from their side, and maybe a little bit of a head drop from our side. And the minute it went 2-0, you knew it was pretty much game over from that point. And then it was all about damage limitations. And we get to half time, the manager makes a change, he brings Dominic Calvert-Lewin off. At that point, I'm not even thinking about the results. I'm not thinking about the performance. I'm not thinking about how well we played or what the result is. All I'm doing is sitting there thinking, I pray to God Dominic Calvert-Lewin is not injured. I don't care if this game ends 8-0, as long as Dominic Calvert-Lewin is being taken off precautionary for a tactical reason rather than for an injury. That's all that mattered. And obviously we heard after the game that it was because of a bit of tightness in his groin, and you know, the manager said hopefully they've managed to bring him off before it's got worse than that, so we can only cross our fingers and hope in that sense. But you know, Dom comes off, we come off for the second half, and City get their third goal fairly quickly. Again, a wonderful free kick, and you know, we can sit here all day and argue whether Jordan Pickford positionally should do better, but it's just a pinpoint free kick. And as I said, I don't think there's many goalkeepers in world football that were saving it. And when it went 3-0, I think City sort of took their foot off the gas, and it was a bit like, well, this game's won. And yes, we had more of the ball from that point, and yes, we looked more likely to score, but you know, we never really caused them any threat, especially when Dominic Calvert-Lewin had come off and it was Neil Maupay that replaced him. We knew exactly from that point that we were never going to be a threat, were we? So yeah, you know, the game sort of, we sorted out. It was a pretty boring second half, I'll be honest, especially given I was watching it from my sick bed. It wasn't the most entertaining of second half. In fact, I nearly fell asleep a couple of times watching it. But you know, from a Manchester City point of view, it was game one at that point, and from a Everton point of view, I think it was more a case of work hard, battle, you know, and you know, don't make it any worse, damage limitations, and go out with your head held high. And you know, as I said, I wasn't there at Goodison because of being not well, but you know, from what I've seen, the fans were absolutely fantastic, even at the end of the game, clapping and singing for the players. And you know, I said in the preview, there is a world in which Everton lose this game and can still be clapped off the pitch, and we can still all sit here and go, no, do you know what, that was a really positive performance, and that was one that we can take a lot of pride from. And I do feel like that in this case. And it wasn't great, and look, I suppose the positive way of looking at it is to say that we played the best team in the world, a team that are going to go on and be the champions of the league, that will possibly go on and be the champions of Europe as well, and we conceded one world-class finish that you can't count for, one free kick that, as I said, I think every team concedes in the Premier League in that situation, and like one goal that we probably could have done better with. But other than that, we nullified Manchester City to very, very little. And some people would say, well, that's because they took the foot off the gas in the second half, and that's probably the case. But for the opening 35 minutes, they had very, very little in the game. So yeah, one of them, simply one of them games, as Manchester City is every season, where you just have to take it, not be too disheartened, and move forward. Hopefully Leicester lose tonight, and hopefully, you know, Leeds and Forest stop picking up points as well. But ultimately, you know, I still firmly believe it's in our hands. If we go out and we beat Wolves next week, then, you know, we give ourselves an even bigger likelihood of staying up with a home game against a team that are well and truly on the beach now on the final day of the season. Not that we wanted to go down to the final day of the season, but if you would have said to me 3 weeks ago, Cam, Everton have still got a chance of staying up on the final day of the season, would you take it? I would have taken it, because we looked absolutely dead and buried then. So there you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. As I said, I'll try and get a player ratings video up soon as well, but I'm on the mend. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new as well. Big thank you all for watching, and we'll see you later.